All right, we're live. So says my
Hello.
laptop screen. Hey, everybody, good morning. We got
Good
Ben over
morning.
here. We got Ben
Yep.
on board looking at us. Oh, you know what? We got to change the view so it's the both of us. Or we can just leave it there. That's fine. I never know how to run these Google Meet deals.
Um.
You can be the main event today. You can be the main
hmm. Yeah. This is
event.
this is different, Joe. This is different. I gotta
Yeah.
admit.
Yeah, but I got control of the switcher board here. You
It's
got
true.
Ben. We got C. I'm in charge.
Get the
Yeah.
old
Yeah.
switcheroo at your fingertips.
It's really fun learning how to multitask that thing while I'm painting. It's like I want to show you
Yeah.
my tray. Oh, black screen on
Yeah.
the tray. Let's fix it.
Yeah.
Hang on.
What's up, Round Brush and America Marcy
Hey, we got
and
some
Swamp Art and
return. I saw we've got when we started up. Um, we got we've got sorry I was
Raymond. We got Raymond. We got Leanne. Hello, hello, hello. Doing stuff.
nice. Man, I went to
Cool.
the. I'm going to leave you in charge of reading the chat, Ben, because that's what you're here for. I just now tried to do it, and I couldn't find my place. I got lost. I
No,
was like,
a
"Where
mess.
are
A
the?"
mess.
When I look at the chat, I'm like, "Where are the shapes and colors? They're
I
gone."
know. I know. So what do I mix? Where do I mix?
Yeah, I can't find the edge. I can't find the gradient. I can't find the color. It's like all these columns and rows, and they don't make sense to me.
Well,
Yeah,
they're just out here talking about,
man, we got
random
some.
stuff. Dogs, apparently.
Okay, that's cool.
Hey, West
Man, it's
Indies over here.
toasty
West
in here.
Indies Monster. Where's that?
Hey, that's cool. West Indies.
Yeah, where the
Awesome.
Indies at?
The Indies. Oh, I
Um,
know where the Indies. I know where the Indies are. No, I'm not gonna embarrass myself. Let's
hey, I
sport
know where
our.
the Indies are.
Yeah, they got to be near India, right?
Oh yeah, they're
Isn't
totally in India.
it?
Anyways, moving right along. Kamin, what up? Back from Vietnam. Good to see you. Uh, and
It's on the
Clover
bottom.
and Carib. Oh, the Caribbean. Ooh, yeah.
Oh, now we got the spotlight. All right, Ben. Here we go. We got a different kind of view.
Oh
You're
yeah,
big, man.
that's
Yeah,
better. That's
yeah,
more of me,
bigger.
Joe. Even more.
That's good. We want you
Anyways,
on there.
a
We don't get
one
to see
and
you. Oh, all right. Let's paint something. How about? What are we painting today? I got work to show. We got people that
mm,
turned in work. Give me a minute to pull it up here, but we got some good looking work that has come to the
that's right,
the
Jason.
share@muraljoe.com email. If you want to send stuff in, it's share@muraljoe.com. This is my email for the live show to share your
Mm,
work. And
we have a fence
so
that's been shared.
yeah, this is a opinion inquiry from Debbie, and Debbie is saying, um, I was wondering how you would go about this one. The client has very specific ideas, but is open. This is his wall. He wants these sections painted. It's about 3.5 feet wall with each large section at 20 feet long. There actually are. So this is a boring thing to spend a lot of time on the live stream. So I won't. But this does pose an interesting challenge. So perspective is an issue. When there are different canvases that are really different shapes, and you have perspective things to think about. So if I'm painting in a hallway, I'm not going to paint a big highway scene that goes way back to the horizon, because everyone's going to be looking at it sideways and the perspective will be wonky. And likewise, if I'm painting on something that's down low, it's probably not a good idea to put a bunch of clouds, because it's going to feel odd unless you do it from a perspective that's looking down at clouds, like you're in an airplane looking down. So you want to think about the actual perspective of the canvas to be painted on. That's a starting point. And then I do renderings with different ideas. So this, I would focus on below horizon content. I would do ground animals, bushes, rocks, whatever kind of cool things you might see before your eyes go way out to a horizon, because that will feel natural on that wall. It's not like it's a rule. It's just my opinion on what might be a good match. So flowers are cool, flower garden, even oversized flowers. I always think oversized bugs are awesome. Okay, that's my initial thought. Let me know if you think of anything else there, Debbie. I'm gonna close this down. We'll go to the next one. We got a few more in here. Look, we've got a mural. This also is Debbie. She sent in a finished work. She did this mural, and she is somewhat, forgive me if I say this wrongly, Debbie, but she's somewhat new at painting murals and has had quite the initial startup success. People, kind of a chain reaction of people asking her to paint things. So we talked a little bit along the way with this mural, and so something that came up was perspective adjustment on distant things, and she's already done all the, this is not like a grading the work. This is just fun topics to talk about. I always feel nervous that I'm going to overstep my bounds talking about things as if they should be done, but that's not my goal.
It is kind of weird where somebody just like hands you their baby and says, "Hey, check out this baby."
It's not very
by
cute.
the way, you're on live television. What do you think about this baby? Or maybe I just wanted you to see this baby.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
Yeah.
With that said, it is very helpful if when you eat. This is why I switched to doing emails instead of just like a Dropbox method for show and tell, because then you can give me a message to tell me I'm looking for advice. It's good when I have context. So this is more of just a show and tell, but I thought I'd give you some background. So we talked about all kinds of stuff, and it was cool. It was really fun seeing this to come together. And one of the main things we talked about was people don't have art painted on their wall to serve the purpose of a photograph. So we don't want to get caught up in what's lifelike and how things really work. We're always just after tools to accomplish what we want, just tools to accomplish things. So I thought this deer was amazing. Great job on the deer. We talked about how to do believable scaling on animals, and how if something, in the case of a somewhat level horizon, an animal doesn't switch its side of the horizon. So the deer, as it gets further away, does not move above horizon. If it's short enough to stay below horizon, it stays there no matter how far it gets. So doing these more distant animals really fits well, because she implemented that. She didn't make the distant ones standing up above horizon while the close one is down below, because that suggests a different size and the scale looks weird. Another thing we talked about was like geometric perspective. I'm trying to move this image over. This was a nice adjustment here. This shed, she went a little more level on the base of the shed, because when things are in the distance, we may perceive a lot of perspective, but the actual lines get really level, get very level. So these angles can make something that's distant look really skewed. And she did a really good job of calibrating that. So there were a few just good little nuggets of wisdom. Look at the lighting on this. I think the lighting on this tree is fantastic. Let's look at that.
Yeah, this is whose work is this, Joe?
This is Debbie, and she's new to painting murals. Probably not new to art altogether, but new to painting murals. And so, I was very impressed. Very cool.
Nice. Well, Debbie, good job. Leanne loves the bark. Amin loves the trunk. Swamp Art says it's beautiful. Jules says it's relaxing. America says so warm.
Now, here's a good question for you, Ben, because this is kind of a professional question that I think she brings up. That is a good point. So I'm going to summarize it. It's in this email here. You know, Debbie experienced what we've experienced a million times with clients. With a client that has, well, we're not, there ain't no good guys. There ain't no bad guys. We're just talking about how things go. I know. It's like there can be some real headaches when you're doing something for a customer.
Yeah. Well,
so she was
what's
experiencing
your question? What's your question?
the vision modifying along the way is the summary. So the customer says, "Oh, how about this? Can you put this in? Can you put some of these little things in there? I think this would look good." And not all of them sound like good ideas. So Debbie, the artist, is thinking, "I don't know if that's going to be a good addition," but she's not feeling certain. She's just got kind of that alarm going off, like, is this ever going to end? Are we going to ruin the mural? So the broad question is, how do you handle that relationship gracefully? How do you do that? Because you don't want to chase away clients. You don't want to be rude, but you want to be,
Yeah. Well, the way I also, I'm a very passionate kind of a creator, and I'll fall in love with ideas, and I'll fall in love with projects, and my ego mixed up in it.
Oh yeah, me too.
Like seeing it happen in a certain way becomes important for like who I am. It's like rooted in these very important identity issues.
Right.
So it can become very perilous, so the way out of it is to, accept that, what are you giggling about over there, Joe?
I just think it's fun just go into your face whenever I want to and just hoping you're ready.
Joe at the switchboard, guys. He can paint, he can work a switchboard.
Yeah, go ahead. Continue.
It's helpful to relinquish control, I like that other people have lived other lives, and they're other kinds of people, and therefore they have other contributions to make that I wouldn't think to. I think there's magic in that. So I'm open to what other people suggest. A lot of times what they suggest, I feel, is going to make it suck. That's the issue. And so what you really want to do is speak from conviction, speak from your place and volunteer your thing, but ultimately know that like it can't be yours to control in the end. That's not the way it works. If you want to be an island, you go right ahead, but working together is how stuff typically happens.
Yeah, you got to find that graceful sweet spot where you are listening, but you're trying to gracefully put in your 2 cents. And like I was thinking, is there any replacement for like the wisdom of experience? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that's going to be a good idea because, like it's hard to have that without having been there,
Yeah. Well, there's a saying that goes along the lines of, if you want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. And I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
I think that together ideas can go further, than by one person that dictates. You get benefits, if you can get your ego out of the way. A lot of times you learn, but you always want to. Another thing I've heard from our oldest brother, we have a lot of brothers. The oldest one, he said something smart once. He said, he said, just be the wind that blows. You're not going to ever be the boat. Everybody's controlling their own boat. Just be the wind,
What does that mean?
You can always, it means you can continue to live by your conviction, to stick to your aesthetic, to be true to yourself as an artist,
Yeah.
and blow consistently toward what you know needs to happen, but you're just the wind. You know, other people are controlling. You know, if it's client work, it's their money, it's their home, it's their property, it's their baby, right?
Yeah.
If it's a commercial, then it's, you know, a company. So those are the boats everybody controls. You are the wind that blows toward what you think is going to be great for everybody. And if your wind blows, you know, favorably and true towards great outcomes, then, you know, you get a lot of boats.
Yeah, I like that. That makes sense. I think it was cool. You know, for me, on the practical side of things, I was trying to, you know, I'm warming up my brain trying to capture your likeness on a whiteboard while you're talking.
Yeah, we can see that. Yeah, we can see that.
Yeah. How did I do? It's okay. It's, you know, we can be honest about it. How did I get it?
You know, I feel like you captured that I have a large skull and a skinny neck. I think that's accurate.
Yeah.
I think that those are defining features of me. Large skull, skinny neck.
Yeah. Let's adjust
hairy.
the slant.
I look good and hairy, so that feels accurate.
Let's really exaggerate the slanty eyes. Okay.
Yeah, stat eyes.
Slant of the eyes really really makes a difference on likeness.
So you guys, Joe, he gets up and I get up, and this is kind of seen behind the curtain, so I apologize, Joe, if it's TMI, but we literally roll out of bed and turn on the computer and stuff.
Yeah.
Joe is warming up the brain cells.
Yeah, I am. I'm warming up the brain cells. I want to do a demonstration.
Says that was a good caricature, Joe.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, so a practical on the previous note, that was really good what you said. That was kind of like, that was a good summary of a mindset. I found a practical tool when it comes to mural painting. When you are dealing with ideas coming in as you go, it's valuable to understand that you've got the, you've got a client that maybe doesn't visualize everything. And then when they do see something on the wall, it sparks ideas, and that's natural. It's not bad. So a protocol to be talked about before you ever start a project is helpful. So when you say any ideas you have along the way, you can even embrace new ideas. New ideas are great, but here's the process we follow to do new ideas. Just have a protocol. We do sketch. If you like the sketch, then we do a rendering. You pay for the time to do the rendering. So let's try to get all of the ideas on the first one so that you don't have to pay too much. You know, you can like be real graceful about that.
Yeah, that's smart.
And then the protocol is established, and then a person tends to be more careful about the way they introduce ideas, because there's an understanding that you've made your time valuable at the beginning without squashing the idea flow.
Yeah, that makes me think of therapy, of psychological therapy. I was in a therapist's office once, and the first visit there, you know, I expected to get right into it. It was like, oh, you got 45 minutes. All right, what are we gonna do? Let's talk about trauma. Let's talk about the past, right? I'm all ready to go.
Yeah.
And so the therapist, he spends the entire first session just talking about protocol. He's like, okay, so
that's like the number one thing.
Yeah, he's like, all right, so if I see you in the street or you see me in the street, here's how it's gonna go. If you say
we don't see each other.
Here's how it's gonna go. You know, just establishing. You know, he's like, are you comfortable with me saying hi to you in the street if we see each other in the street? And I'm like, well, let me think about it. You know, I'm like, yeah, sure, man. I was like, I'd say, what's up, dude? And he's like, okay, great. And so let's move on to, you know, and it's helpful. I think I bring that up because, you know, when you're doing something that it makes you vulnerable, you know, you don't want to be in the moment and wrapped up with all your feelings, trying to figure out what's the best way to handle this sticky situation, you know?
Right. Protocols.
Like my baby is on the chopping block and the client's baby's on the chopping block, and both of us are invested but we're
And
both
oh
pulling in
man,
different
neither one of us
ways.
saw this coming, and now we're
Yeah,
here. And now it's
and we
yeah,
don't know what to do, and so it's just a matter of who's more forceful or who's more persuasive. Now you have
yeah,
an antagonistic relationship. It
yeah,
is it is super smart to just think ahead and be like, all right, so when your ideas come, they're gonna come, right?
yeah,
When they come, here's where they go, here's how we're gonna deal with, and then with that definition, with that protocol, you can very easily navigate things. This is a
yeah.
fun live stream we got going here, Joe. Just looking over your back at this interesting little plant.
Oh, whoops. Yep. Sorry about that. I was getting Tyler's work displayed on the screen. This is Tyler. He handed it in. He likes to watch live streams too. Well, I just love to share people's work before I get going on mine.
Tyler,
Yeah.
what's up, Tyler?
So protocols are valuable. Artists don't tend toward protocols. They tend to be spontaneous, and this can shoot you in the foot. You
Yeah,
can shoot yourself in the foot is what I mean to say.
yeah,
For
yeah. Lift your head
proverbial.
up. Look down the road. Look down the road. See what's probably going to happen. Figure out how you'd like to deal with it. You're just
Yeah.
navigating unfamiliar terrain.
Yeah.
But
That's taken
make
too
no
long for me to
mistake.
learn.
Take no mistake. Make no mistake.
Make no
You
mistake.
are the driver. You know, you're the
Yeah.
one that's going to steer this thing. You're the creator. You're the one
Yeah.
that is going to make new decisions about where to go and
You
what to
deal with
do.
that a
So
lot, and I think that your career doing film work for people addresses that a lot more modifying as you go than probably with a mural. I
yeah,
would, maybe. All right, let's talk
yeah,
about a painting. Talk about paint for a little bit.
I like paint.
Yeah. All right. Here's Tyler's. He's working on it. This is in progress. Nice dirt, Tyler. I like this. This is something I like to talk about a lot. It's really helpful to know. Tyler has an excellent setup of dirt colors because we have a saturated midtone, a dark shadow, and a desaturated color that shows surface glare, surface reflection. It shows like blue skylight bouncing off of instead of penetrating and illuminating the dirt.
Yeah, Tyler says he's been applying a lot of your texture
Yeah, I
techniques
see.
on
Oh,
this
okay,
thing.
texture. That's great. And I would say, Tyler, your grass is better every time I see it. I'm really digging the texture of that grass. It looks deep, and it looks like I could
Does
sink
look
my
deep.
feet into it. And it has perspective. Like your gradient of how much shadows you see as you come closer, because the angle changes. You're going from this angle when you're looking out to down, where you're looking down and seeing the shadows. So really valuable thing with grass is more shadows as you get closer to your feet as the viewer. So those are making this look like it's off to a great start. But Tyler, don't be afraid to use purple where the blue meets that. Well, I can already see that green starting to rear its head in your clouds. Where blue meets the whites of your clouds, you get greenish colors. Don't be afraid to add some bright purple in those shadows because the brightness of the purple dies when it mixes, and you end up with a more natural gray. And Tyler already knows this. Of course, Tyler already knows. You're already on it. I'm just here to remind. I like the way it's. I like the
Hey,
way
what's that
it's
email address, Joe, where if people wanted to send something to that inbox?
share. The word share at muraljoe.com. Share at muraljoe.com. That's
Yeah.
the email.
SHARE spelled.
And we got one
share
from
at
Leanne
muraljoe.com.
here to look at. Let's see what Leanne's been up to. Beautiful work from Leanne. We got a canvas going out to some really, boy, I wish I was in that weather. We're in a drought here. We keep getting teased with rain clouds anyway. Every time I see water, it makes me jealous. Hey, that's real pretty. Nice perspective on this as well. Even without finer details, or less, just finer as in smaller, even without that, look how just the size of the shapes in general creates this nice perspective going back that, this kind of has a nice dreamy look. I'm never here to say put more detail and put more realism into your picture. I'm just here to say if you do put it in, it has a lot of weight. So here's some tools you can use to make it do what you want. So
Nice.
they're real beautiful. Real
Yeah, that is
beautiful clouds
dreamy. It
settling
looks
on.
humid. It looks humid.
Yeah, yeah, it really is. Leanne, excellent job. A lot of artists miss this concept, myself included. That distant greens are not very green. So when you get like pine trees, and these pine trees naturally are not super green anyway, probably, but artists kind of like logically put the green in, and then when you add white, it gets even brighter green. And so good job keeping them gray as they get
So
more
she's
distant.
going for the look of Quadra Island, the lighthouse view, Leanne says.
Okay. I'm not familiar with that. I am familiar with many geographical locations, but that's not one.
Especially the Indies.
Especially the Indies. Yeah.
Know exactly where the Indies are.
I do.
I can point
Yeah.
to them on a globe right now.
A couple pets from I didn't know from Clover. Clover sends a couple
Clover
pets in.
repping a oh
Yeah.
look, a fluffy
That is,
dog.
yeah, and that is a very good posture. I love the mood of that posture. Great job.
Yeah,
Good job with that. The
the
contrast,
dog is
A
ready to
plus.
give some love.
My opinion, just giving you my opinion, you get an A plus for contrast because you did a very dark black on just on the darkest points, and I just think that really makes a picture fun to look at. High
Yep.
contrast makes it pop out.
Yeah, I do the same
Good.
thing. When I'm color grading an image, I set that black point. You want to make sure
Yeah,
you get
yeah. It doesn't have
some
to
of
be a
that
lot
image
of the
is
image.
it's actually very little of the image. You just
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
see
right.
that you've used your range. You went all the way down to where there's no
Yeah.
light at all.
What if it's a vampire movie? Is there more black in
A lot
the
more
color?
black. A lot more black.
What if it's a Labrador Retriever?
It's treacherous. It's
There's a
treacherous how much
lot of black.
You got detail in black. That's very beautiful. Who's ever painting these dogs, by the way? Nice
Look
dog.
at that, man. I'm jealous. I could go for a canine companion on the back of my boat. On the
I want
back
to
of my
hang out
boat.
with that dog.
I like this cup holder. Great job. Again, contrast really is a home run there. Like getting the cylindrical reflection on the cup holder goes from nearly from pure white to pure black. Maybe it is, it's a photo, so I can't really measure, but the contrast looks very dynamic. Nice work. Yeah. Even a good gradient in the eyeball. This is a, like
the eyeball work. Thumb up in the eyeball work.
Yeah, we've talked about eyeballs. That's a subject that comes up. Okay, send in your work if you want to share it. This is beautiful. Thank you, Cloverleaf.
Share at muraljoe.com.
Oh, look, we got another. Need help getting from sunset to space. Sunset's place currently changing scales to make it appear more distant. Okay, let's see. Whoa, 10 years ago. Okay, let's see what we can see on these photos on this email. This is where
sunset to space.
Cornea. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but we're gonna look at this and see what we can see. All right, this is a flash camera, so it's messing with my eyes. This is not part of the mural. I don't think so anyway. Right, this is why photographers don't like to use those
timestamp 2007.
Yeah, nice. Okay, cool. Hey, nice gradient on the grass. You got 3D landscape from your gradient. That's cool. I like that. Let's see the next picture. Nice distant castle. That's fun. Obviously not intended to be realism. All right. High contrast in the sky. We got really dark.
Okay. So I think what they're doing here, Joe, is they're struggling with how to go from, they like this like grassy kind of late afternoon world that they've got down on the land, but then they were like, hey, what if like in the sky it wasn't a sunset but it was outer space instead?
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
How do I make those two worlds work together? How do I tie that?
Yeah, very good question. Yeah. Okay. I think that gradients are going to be your best friend right here. So I would say a key element that is missing in this picture that I'm looking at is the gradient that goes from the horizon. That just works wonders for the depth of your picture, because black will naturally, just like on those previous photos we looked at, just like on this character and on these characters. Like, are those bananas in pajamas? What are we looking at right there? What are those things?
Oh my goodness, bananas and pajamas are coming down the stairs.
I don't know
What is
what.
that?
So black
pajamas
jumps forward.
are going everywhere. There's like a song in my brain.
Yeah, that's
what
it.
What song is that?
And that's
Bananas
the
and
song.
pajamas? Yeah, Coronilla knows bananas and pajamas. What in the world is that?
So I'm just going to say add a gradient to the horizon. This hard line makes it all like, it makes the two worlds not merge into one scene. You need the distance, so a gradient to the horizon, just like this ground has a gradient to the horizon. Put a gradient to any color horizon you want, but that gradient is what causes I'm going to say causes your imagination to allow it to stay distant, because black wants to jump forward. So try that out. Put a nice gradient that goes down into this horizon that probably gets more pale in color, just like the grass does. And I think that could be a huge help to your scene, so it's not as flat. Well, sorry, I'm having trouble operating.
Ha Minh in Vietnam says it's a little dreamscape and surrealistic, which they love.
Okay, yeah, it's cool. We're gonna look at Tom.
Yeah, see what Tom's up to, and also cute dogs. Ooh. Clover, love your dogs.
Yeah, they are.
Thanks for sharing your dogs.
Wow, that's cool. I dig the light rays. Yeah,
light rays.
That's neat. Whoa. That's some cool art. And we got some what looks like some warplanes going over. Am I wrong about that? No?
Nah, dude. Those are spotlit warplanes if I've ever seen them.
Yeah, I'm hearing an alarm. I'm hearing a big alarm in my head.
That's the one. Yeah. And those spotlights frantically searching.
Yeah.
And there's a little voice on a radio somewhere.
Yeah. Man.
Take cover.
For us, it's just an entertaining story, but for some people, that's like real memories. That's like real traumatic memories.
Yeah. Hey, sorry to be triggering, guys, first thing in the morning with my
sorry, we're not trying to do that.
War II reenactment, but
hey, this is cool study for painting, increasing color where light is on top. That's the wrong way to say that. This has this real big increase of color instead of a loss of color. So when you're like doing a gradient, and you can see in all of this too, when you're doing a painting, that's a valuable thing, because paint naturally loses color. So you can see the cool effect it has when color is not lost or something gets lighter. Just a side note. Okay,
layers,
cool
man.
Content.
Tom is getting the layers going. I like it.
Yeah, and I like the light.
Such a good perception of depth. Like as the spotlights cross, you can see that a spotlight is behind the light, and that the planes are at a certain depth, and so many references for depth that are great.
Yeah. Okay. We've been talking a lot about depth, so it's like I was reading your mind. It's like I knew the future. Here's something I've been using. I've been doing a mural for the last several weeks. I have a pine tree, and I got all these pine needles. So I thought this is a cool concept. Setting up context in a picture allows imagination to this is just the way I express this thought. I'm not claiming to know how things work, but it's like imagination snaps an image to a pre-existing 3D grid. So you give information that tells what depth something gets snapped, because how once you see something, you can't unsee it. So you look at someone's art and you see something perhaps unintended, but you're like, oh man, now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it, right?
Yep.
Yeah. This is my theory, that it's because it's been snapped to that grid. Okay, or let's say that matrix is like a 3D world that your imagination's wanting to make sense of instinctively. So here's my point with this. These shapes by themselves don't make any sense. This right here has no depth right there. And if I put a line on it, it has no depth. This is
No,
just a symbol.
two-dimensional.
Yeah, it's probably a symbol that means something that I'm not trying to say right now. But
No, man, that's a
it's
circle with a line. That's all that
yeah,
is.
circle with the line. Yeah, and so when you start setting up context with gradients, edges, considering perspective, these have a whole different meaning. I'm going to make it bigger so that we can see. It was just my simple, we'll call it like a geometric flower pattern. Okay, so then we do one sideways out here, and it's like, oh, okay, it actually is a very long handle, but it's still just a 2D shape. It's still not 3D. So we go like this. We put a gradient. They're closer here. They're further as they go here. See, these are close together. So we're so accustomed to seeing certain patterns, and one of those patterns is a perspective gradient. So like a cylinder, close together, further apart, closer together. And this is real valuable in painting because you can use these tricks to create very convincing depth. Okay, so now these lines start to create a cylinder because they have this real important gradient pattern to the edges. So when I add that, we've got a gradient pattern, closer, closer, and I also squeezed in a little bit of size change, a little bit. Okay, then when I start connecting the lines, the ones that are at a visible angle give imagination information about the ones that are in perspective. So then when you start completing the picture and you don't break, let's call it the rules, but we're just saying we're not creating a conflict like we're telling two different stories. This is just a random basic shape to demonstrate the concept, right? So then we put these in here. Now the context starts to develop, and now this little one in the front that has that shape, this takes on a whole different meaning now that intuitively is something that goes further away from us as it attaches to the stem of our funny little flower shape. And so I can use this in a painting to really do convincing depth. And I think that this is a fun concept to explore and really helpful because it turns simple dot texture into something 3D when you use it. All right. So
Yeah,
let's paint some with it.
Debbie says this is also good, Joe. Thank you. They are finally able to assess the chat. Access the chat, I'm sure.
Oh, access in the chat. Yeah. Okay.
Now that
Good.
they're on their phone.
Ah,
So
okay.
Debbie, chat us up and say what's happening. And
yeah. Okay, nice.
We shall discuss. Also,
that's good to know.
Also,
also, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, Jules earlier on was talking about this. I missed this. Jules brought this up about client work, customer work.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Have you ever not wanted to do something the customer suggested,
absolutely,
but did it and then saw the customer was right?
Oh yeah, yes, definitely, because
or you were just able to make it work, they say.
I would say I actually did. It in my case, it took some ego checking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was.
We have massive egos, Joe. Have you ever noticed we have massive egos? It's like not like huge ego, like I am so beautiful and everyone should recognize my beauty. It's not ego
yeah.
like that.
Totally.
Ego like we're constantly trying to matter in the world.
Yeah. I'm really something. Yeah, you got like that need to really.
I have a reason. I have a purpose. I have importance. Relevance, like whereas maybe a lot of people are much less convinced that they matter or that they have purpose or reason. You know what I mean?
Less attachment.
I'm just another ant on the hill. Kind of thing.
Yeah, Yeah, they're more ready to just say that and be okay with it and still enjoy life. Where it's
Yeah,
like,
it becomes problematic. I've noticed, like it's powerful to tap into my ego and be like, okay, you know, my
yeah,
ego is beckoning me to feel, right? Like
yeah,
I feel. So you have to tap into what am I, who am I, and then therefore how do I feel? Why do I feel? And then you
totally.
need to check like, is this feeling relevant or empathetic to anything or anyone else? Is it going to make sense to anyone else?
Yeah.
And then if it does, then you make work that shares it, and it's like that all starts with just the acknowledgement that your ego is huge and in the room and is needing
It's
attention. You know what
huge.
I mean?
It's in the room. Yeah, that's a really good realization, Ben. And I've been waiting for you to realize that for years.
Well, August 23rd, 2025.
All right, all right. Same problem for sure. And so I've had moments where the customer said something intuitively, and it was hard for me to respect it because they didn't know the mechanics of it. But intuitively, they understood. I just feel like, let's say, I'm not going to say a specific, but something like, well, it all just looks, kind of overly orange, or something like that. And they don't have a big explanation for it. And then where I'm like, I need to get paid, they need to be happy. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna check my ego and just adjust. And then I realize as I'm doing it, wow, it actually looks better. That is a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, for you gearheads out there, it's like nitrous oxide in a naturally aspirated engine. Okay. A lot of people, they take these little Honda Civics, or these little Nissans or whatever, and then they'll put nitrous oxide injection into the engine as well as the regular petroleum. And put it
Yeah,
on a little trigger. It's like a turbo button, and it squirts this nitrous oxide into the engine, and the car goes and explodes off the line. Right. Well,
yeah,
it also puts quite a bit of stress on that vehicle and can make it, explode out and on fire as well and get destroyed. And so it's like this really potent thing that you can inject into your process, that sensitivity, that awareness of being a human, but like
totally.
if you misappropriate it, if you get so preoccupied in you and your experience that it becomes more important than a collective, or some
Yeah,
other matter or someone else that
totally.
needs to matter more in that moment, then it just steamrolls you. So
Makes sense.
like
Yeah.
I'm not
Hmm.
uh, ego is kind of represented in a negative light, and it certainly can be, but it also can be a huge asset. So that's the point. Is
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, like it is a natural, it is like a natural what do you call it? Natural trait. And so it's like, well, it does have a place, it does have a purpose to serve, but how do we check it and keep it in its helpful place? Right? Is
yeah,
that kind of what you're saying?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. But check this out. Joe's adding some depth. Here's the
Yeah.
thing. Here's the thing
That's
we're dealing
add
with,
some
guys.
depth.
Here's the thing we're dealing with. You're looking at a two-dimensional screen. Okay, you got a two-dimensional canvas, right?
Yeah.
You get
That's it.
two-dimensional surfaces you're working with here. How do you make a two-dimensional thing tell the story of a third dimension?
Yeah. Yeah, and this is something I've been working on for, I got a mural that's doing, and I got myself a chopped up brush that does it much faster on my mural job. But I thought, you know what, this is a real valuable concept to explore because it transfers into a lot of things. And so here I've put little dots. What I want to point out are the little dots. So this is just a messy pile of paintbrush strokes, but these little dots of highlight have meaning because the that perspective gradient. So even though this doesn't look like a lot of blending, there's a texture gradient where there's a lot more of these highlights around the edge, and then you see the dark space in between them toward the middle. It's that cylinder gradient. But in practicality, all it is lines around the edge turning to dots as I go to the middle. But it creates this gradient where these can be interpreted by imagination. And, this is where technique can do a better or worse job at taking advantage of this. But nevertheless, it exists with the most basic technique. Little dots become three-dimensional shapes. So now I'm going to take a highlight color that's the brightest. I'm gonna put some white in here. With
so
this.
Tyler says this dark layer up to the lighter layers kind of way of painting. You know how you started with the dark stuff and then you kind of went in and you just splashed the lighter green.
Yeah.
That way of doing it was a huge learning point for Tyler.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
Years.
Nice. That's good. I like to hear that.
Tyler, the one that whose painting we were just looking at a second ago.
Right. Okay. So
and then
here's gradient.
Swamp Art is asking, when you paint Mr. Joe, are you thinking about color temperature?
No, I'm not. No, it's not because it doesn't matter. It does matter. It's just that I have a different category. That color temperature describes a traditional category that I don't find helpful. So I have it categorized differently, but the way I would categorize it is just hue. I'm thinking of the hue, and that it gives you a sense of atmosphere. And yes, I think about it, but the overall lighting of a scene will be really affected. The mood will be really affected. Black and yellow is my go-to mix for making sure that as you said, color temperature is something that feels natural when I'm doing a pine tree. Okay, so we're going to put yellow and black. That's just a go-to technique that's going to deliver a much less blue result on my greens. And I just found through a lot of experimentation, trial and error, that this did a way better job of achieving the look of natural greenery. And it's because compared to a blue-yellow mix for greenery, it's much warmer. Let's call it much warmer since you're talking about color temperature. So I want to validate the attention to color temperature, but just say I frame it with different categories. That's all.
Yeah, that's helpful. Swamp Art likes
okay,
that.
I'm going to
put. So Debbie has really liked your grass technique too, which you're kind of getting into.
Okay.
They've been using that yellow over black,
Okay,
to
thanks.
create the blades of grass.
Okay, I'm going to go like this. We're going to make this a little clump of pine needles. We're going to make this a little clump of pine needles. And I have strategically put these where there were already bright spots. So my goal here, even if I don't hit it, I miss my goals a lot of the time. It's good if you see that. But my goal is making these get darker as they travel left, because that'll make them go deeper into what I'm calling a pine tree. So see how these get darker. It's not just a sudden stop. So I'm using gradients to bring these out, and then my detail gets forgiven so much more. Absence of detail is totally forgivable if imagination is filling it in. It's like people are just looking for a fun trip, just give imagination something to work with, and it'll do the work. So I'm dotting in some simple technique to get some more distant perspective on my pine needles. And I can do a whole tree this way. Then I have the close one, I have the far one, and then my gradient gets darker as it goes here. And then I have this tree. Now I'm going to watch how I'll use that same perspective I did on the whiteboard. Okay, we're getting darker. Now we're using a color gradient instead of the black line shapes, but the concept's going to be similar. So I'm going to go darker. I didn't mean to cut you off what you were talking about there, Ben.
No, I wasn't talking about anything.
Yeah, I wasn't talking.
I'm just hanging out in my spaceship.
Yeah,
checking out the floaties.
Okay, so now
day up here in zero gravity.
Yeah, nice. You got a good sidekick, it looks like.
Yeah. He just showed up.
Yeah.
It's been here for about a half hour.
Yeah.
Right before the live stream, it's like, sure enough, as soon as you want to do a live stream, something's gonna happen.
Yeah. He's scouting. I
don't
like
know.
the way he's like kind of scouting, making sure that everything is looking good.
Yeah, well, I was looking for ideas. It's gonna tell me what to say.
Yeah. All right. So I wouldn't say that this is like a stellar job at pine needles. I'm just making lines that are going to a common center. That's all it is. Just a bunch of thin lines trying to carefully put these, but I'm paying attention to that pattern that we did on the whiteboard, and I'm using similar angles. So now these are coming down to a common branch, and it gets darker as they go down, and that kind of sends it back further into a shadow. So this is that same helpful concept of using the other pieces that attach to an object to state the shape, the context, and understanding that you're going to be able to make dynamic depth that didn't seem possible when you did the line all by itself. Because I think when you set out, you're like, oh, okay, so Joe did this technique, and maybe you're new at painting. Joe did this technique that looked like pine needles, and then you try it and it doesn't look like it at all. Well, let me suggest that perhaps more context needs to be set, because I'm not doing like some really special like ninja painting moves here. I'm just putting these.
I mean, they're like green belt ninja moves. I don't know if they're like black belt
maybe not. Yeah, you're right. There is some brush control involved.
Yeah, I mean, you can move. You can move.
Yeah, I can move. Yeah, but I'm getting old, and it slows me down a bit.
Yeah.
Definitely
Hey, check this out, Joe. Sherry's Sage and Soul and Spirit says, hello from Victoria, Canada.
Hey, all right, that's cool. Nice.
That's cool, man.
Nice.
Up there in the fresh air and pine trees.
Nice.
Good-natured, respectable people there, up there in Canada.
Cool. Nice. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, we got one over there in Campbell River. That's Leanne up in Ontario, I believe. The Canucks showing out today, Joe. We got Canucks in the building.
Dude, cool. Maybe pine trees is a good subject, huh? Maybe.
I mean, it's not the worst subject.
All right, I'm going to do something abstract.
I like
something abstract. We're going to do this. We're going to make like some fun colors.
Uh-oh, we're feeling abstract. Everybody.
Yeah, we're going abstract. Just purple. That's all it is. Just purple. And let's say
what do you do when you're faced with a blank canvas and not particularly a large amount of inspiration? You get purple and splat it on there.
Yeah, just do that. Yeah, and I'm gonna go from purple to magenta. We're gonna do like a color gradient. I'm no expert on color combinations. I just, for me, how to bring the chosen colors together is where I've experienced the magic. So I'm going to do this same concept, and I'm just going to kind of run with this idea that I put on here. We've got a nebulous shape, right? We got magenta.
I like to think about colors in terms of relationships, not necessarily as just like hues that are just independent and just existing on your canvas, and there's like a right set of hues and there's a wrong set of hues. That hasn't been helpful for me as much as just considering the relationship between the colors and hues that are on.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I think there's more power in that. Yeah.
Because it could be any old tint. It could be any tone or temperature that you were talking about earlier, right? Color temperature, it could be anything. But
right.
What's much more relevant is what's the relationship between these colors? What's the relationship between the shapes? You know, like,
yeah,
are they working? What story is it telling to have like pink highlights that go to magenta and then into a deeper purple?
yeah.
You know?
What is
how
it?
my
Yeah.
brain already, see, I led the led the witness.
Leading the witness.
I called them highlights and shadows already, because that's
You
the
did.
story I'm
Yeah.
telling.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, if you
But,
had
you know,
white, if you'd have chosen, like, green, I wouldn't have said, look at those green highlights. It'd be like,
yeah. Yeah.
what's the relationship
Totally.
between these colors? I'd be searching
Right.
for the connective tissue.
Yeah. Let's throw some orange in here and see what happens. Let's put some even further highlights of orange that are coming off of these. We're going to put brighter highlights because I'm just going for 3D. I don't know what I'm painting. I'm just making it 3D. Actually, it's kind of fun to go that route. It's like we're gonna.
I've seen you whip up some good sea coral too, using the same.
You're right.
Same
that
sort
is.
of headspace. It's like, what kind of stuff is growing under that ocean? I don't know. Doesn't matter. You don't know either. But
yeah,
let's
exactly.
Just make sure it has
Let's find something believable. Yeah, that's it. That's kind of the idea. So these jump forward because they're brighter. It's no mystery. But I'm doing this perspective thing where I'm stringing them out on the edges so that when I just do dots like this, the idea is that they jump forward.
It's fingery, man. It's fingery.
It's very fingery. Let's follow the perspective, not perspective gradient, the translucent glow pattern. Let's go all the
Joe,
way
you mixing that orange? Joe Swampart wants to know. You mixing your own orange?
No, that's just the primary orange. It's just like a cadmium orange. This tube right here, probably similar to a medium cadmium orange. It's from a paint store, but the components they use to make tints are similar wherever you get them from. If they look the same, there's a good chance they are. It's not always true, but that is not a mixed orange. So that's a good topic to touch on, though, because they don't always behave the same. They can have the same appearance, but I've noticed that mixed orange or any mixed secondary, let's call it a secondary color because you take more than one color to mix it. Any mixed version tends to change color more as you lighten and darken it than a primary. Really interesting thing. It seems to be a pattern. So like I'll take a red yellow mix and I'll notice that when I lighten it, I get a whole lot more shifting toward the yellow than when I had like a primary orange. Just a nuance. It's not like super life-changing information. Just an interesting thing. All right, now I'm putting some of this deep blue down here where I already had the purple.
Any life-changing information here on this live sesh, guys. So
no, it's not that kind.
Not that kind of show.
Not that kind.
But
okay, now I'm going to use gradients.
What you are going to get is fingery coral stuff that looks three-dimensional.
Fun. The idea. Let's have
fingery
some fun.
Coral stuff. And we should change the name of this stream to fingery coral stuff.
Fingery coral stuff. Yeah, I like it. I like that. We're going to do a gradient on the edge. We're going to do this.
Round brush came here for the fingeries.
Yeah. All right. Nice. Let's see what happens if we really darken. I want a little more glow to my scene. So I'm going to use I'm going to put some black.
Let's talk about, Joe, let's talk about what to paint. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Let's talk about what to paint.
Anybody out there, hit the button on that chat if you know what this feels like. All right. So you want to make something. You want to make something. You feel an urge. You feel creative.
Yeah.
Like this is time. This is the place. And then you got your blank canvas, and you're like, what
am I gonna make?
I make? Right? You ask yourself that question. What should I make? What should I paint? Well,
yeah. Paint
I would
this.
suggest
just paint this.
I would suggest this. Whatever you feel. Whatever you feel. This is where the ego becomes important.
Yeah.
Is you need to just do whatever you feel, because.
But what happens when you don't feel? I think a problem that you can continue, but I mean,
black.
I think
Put black, put stripes. If you feel
you do that.
make it dark, make it sad. Like emote on that thing. There's
but is there more to be said for? Is there more to be said? Let's say that we only know what it's like to be us, right? So I have a theory that Ben, you and I, our family, it tends toward that. Like some people don't have to try to feel like running. Others get out of bed and they just have the impulse they want to. It's not torture. So some people want to do like creative mind stuff, but all that comes to the mind, I think, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, are like columns and rows. They're thinking charts, they're thinking logic, and they're like, man, this creative space is attractive, but how do you get there? I wonder if that can be the case.
Yeah. Well, what I'm suggesting is that it's helpful to be less concerned with the whole of what it is that you think you need to do, and it's more important that you just start moving.
Yeah.
Like.
Okay.
Like if you're walking around with a camera, and you're like, all right, I'm going to go home with a beautiful image, right?
Yeah.
You're not going to just sit there and hold your camera until you arrive at your beautiful image and then pull it out and set it up and one click and you're gone, right?
Although I have done that. I have done that. And it was a failure. It's like an epic failure because I'm like, I'm going to find the perfect shot and then I'm going to get it and go home.
Yeah. To break the static friction, you just start pointing it at stuff. You just put some purple on your canvas.
Yeah, just put the purple on there.
If you're trying to walk, just be like, I'm blocking. Man, which direction should I run to? No, you get up on your feet and you fall on your face, and you get up on your feet and fall on your.
Yeah.
Like. There's something you've said before, which is helpful, I think, which is to get comfortable being uncomfortable,
Yeah. In that transition state, let people.
That uncertainty of like, what in the world should I do? What should I paint? That's an uncomfortable place,
It's wobbly.
It's wobbly. Yeah, it's wobbly. And if that wobbliness prevents you from doing anything, then nothing ever gets done.
Yeah.
So.
For sure. And anyone that's followed me for a while, I don't have to say it, but I talk about practice boards so much, the importance of painting on garbage, the importance in the number. I mean, if you just tallied the sheer number of boards that I've painted something that is intended to be thrown in the trash, then that has given me such freedom to explore concepts and techniques aside from trying to get a nice looking piece accomplished,
Yeah. Swamp Art says they took your advice about the black and the work they sent you.
Oh, nice.
They dulled
check it out.
back the background with a teal and purple. Okay, nice development, nice. Swamp Art.
Okay, we're gonna look at that. Okay, this is
Raluca issue with the framing of the shot. Well, let's see here, Raluca.
Yeah, I tried to fix it. Sorry, I did a bad job. I was blocking the camera and I was kind of painting off screen. Sorry, I was throwing in this gradient. That was my bad.
We're back in business. We're back in business. We'll talk to our producer, Raluca.
It happens to be the same guy. Who puts the artist in charge of the production? Who does that? That's a mistake. All right. This is going to connect right here and come forward. What do you think of my idea? What is
great.
This?
It's great. Hey, let's talk about depth, Joe. How much depth can you establish here?
I'm going to do as much as I can. I'm going to try to max it out. We're going to try to max out the depth.
Do max depth. Maximum depth.
We got to use all the tricks. We have to make the
that even though we have no idea what this object is, right? We have no
Yeah.
story existing
No.
about, oh yeah, this is an object with depth, right? We're not
Yeah.
going to have that. We're just going to see a shape, and we need to understand this thing is going
Yeah.
from
That's
1
it.
inch away from our eyeball to 1 mile away from our eyeball.
Yeah. I can think of 4 really major categories to intentionally try to cover when the goal is specifically to maximize and master the depth of a scene. And so one of the things I really want to master is perspective. Okay, so that's curved lines, any shape that needs to be conformed to the supposed perspective is in that category for me. So right now I'm using curved lines to tell the shape. Then I am using the light and shadow gradients to tell the same story. I want to do that as well. So the shape, the gradients, gradient edges, and then atmosphere. Atmosphere is a big deal. And I think there would be different ways to, don't take these as like, as the 4 things, you know, but it's the way I tend to categorize them. Okay, so here's some gradients that I'm going to use on top of just shape. So now here's how color and value gradients tell the same story as that shape. Here's an edge gradient that is going to change rapidly on the edge and change gradually as it goes across the face. See, we have a very
swamp
sudden.
art's digging how we're doing just whatever fingery thing you made, and now all of a sudden it's a relevant 3-dimensional protruding object.
Yeah, like all of a sudden imagination's trying to make sense of it because it exists, right?
Yep.
You're like,
yep.
It's not.
What is it? What's it doing? Where's it coming from? Where's it going? What kind of world does it live in?
Don't touch it. You can look.
Yeah, should I touch it? Should I introduce myself? Should I cut it off? Should I?
Atmosphere is a big deal. I used atmosphere. No, I made this gradient. That's one of the big 4 categories. So I established a background with this reddish colored atmosphere, and I made this color get more of that color as it also gets smaller.
Yeah, we're taking notes, Joe. We're taking notes in the chat.
Okay, cool. And scale. It seems like the other things are covered, but not necessarily. If you get in a computer program that doesn't have like, you can change angles according to perspective, but not make the far things smaller than the close things. So scale applies to more than just the overall shape. It applies to brush texture. So when I take this orange and I go like this, just make random strokes. Okay, a trick that maybe goes unnoticed, less appreciated, is the number of strokes on a far away thing. Doesn't matter if they're accurate to any particular thing. I'm just going to put a visible number of strokes. Size. It's a size of stroke. Yeah. It's a number.
So
okay.
Mavis is trying to quantify all of the things that can help you create more depth here. So she's got 1 perspective, 2 light and shadow gradients, 3 atmosphere, 4 scale. I think maybe we want to talk about
2 different things. Scale and atmosphere are 2 different categories. So we got atmosphere, scale change, perspective shapes, and then gradient along with the what shape does to the, what perspective does to the shapes, what perspective does to the color gradients, you know. So like this changed around an edge as we round edges as we do things. So those really can capture depth. Angle, you know, like angle gradients. Maybe you could call it like angle gradients. I have a hard time really thinking of that. Mavis, you really got me, you know, racking my brain trying to think more than that than I planned. That's good. That's a good thing.
Well, you know, like if someone is like, hey, I'm gonna paint a protrudy, fingery, grabby thingy emerging from the black abyss. How do I do that? Well, okay, let's first think about, all right, I want to think about color. Okay,
Yeah.
did I get the color how it needs to be? All right, shape. All right, did I get the shape how it needs to be? What's that checklist of them
Yeah.
checking things off? Do the lines tell the same story? Do the shapes tell the same story? Do the colors tell the same story?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So atmosphere, perspective applied to colors, perspective applied to shapes. That, I put those in two categories because I think they just feel very different. So perspective warps the way colors blend, it warps the way shapes move. So get like you intentionally include them to enhance the depth. So they don't have to be there, but if you put all of them in, you get a much more dramatic presentation. So I'm intentionally putting them in. You'll see a whole lot of realistic photographic content that doesn't have all of those elements. For example, you take a photograph and you're disappointed with it because the real thing was deep and magical. You were looking at the Grand Canyon and it was all so far away. But since it was a crystal clear day, your picture is not implementing the effect of atmosphere. You're not getting depth from atmosphere if it was a super clear day. And we've all seen those disappointing photos because something is not there that we maybe perceived in real life.
yeah, that's true. It's subtleties. Your brain can work with subtleties so effectively.
Yeah, I want to
Um,
see this. I want to see this work that we got. We got
Lombard,
some more stuff in
Lombard
there.
says it looks kind of like a sweet potato, which I gotta agree with. It's kind of like a sweet potato. It's growing little things out of its eyes.
Oh, sweet potato. Yeah, totally.
You know.
All right, nice. Okay, we got some more pictures in here. Hey, nice skin tone, nice shadows. We got some real contrasty 3D shadows, and
Happy kiddo.
yeah, and we have some real good uh, color change that illuminates that skin. I love that shift that goes. It's not just lightening the exact same color, and this is something so important in skin tone is consciousness of that saturated mid-tone. That's like where the magic happens for skin tone. That's really well done.
Hey
Really
Joe, you were
nicely done.
using purple for your shadows,
I was.
and why purple? Like
It,
I don't see purple in any of these shadows. So somebody was asking about purple in your shadows.
yeah, well, keep in mind that I am painting an otherworldly fingering space coral. So,
Okay.
so there's different rules that
Yeah,
apply
we're not on the
for this.
beach. We're not on the Caribbean beach.
Yeah. Okay. Let's give a better answer than that. Okay. There is a unique magic to purple, so I tend to go right to it because in my theory is that in our world they're so commonly created. This is a good like Google image search moment. If we just do like beautiful landscapes, um, pretty is a shorter word to type. Pretty landscapes, and we just do a image search of that, then we're going to see a lot of purple wherever shadows get that skylight reflected on them. So if I just scroll through these, it's really, really common to see purple in shadows because dirt
Purple
and
mountains majesty.
yeah, exactly. So I'm going to find something that's got like obvious cast shadows where we can look at like the color of a shadow next to the color of we don't have to go forever on this subject, but you can see especially in this one here's a real obvious example of a lot of purple in shadows. You can see here a lot of purple on the underside of this. So when orange light mixes with blue light, you get purple. That's not intuitive with paint. So when painters start mixing their colors, they get different results all of their life. So it doesn't feel intuitive to use so much purple, but with natural light, purple occurs a lot, even when blue reflects off of yellow. Even when it reflects off of yellow. So let's look at a yellow car, because that'll be a
Purple
good
rain. That's right. Prince has got it too. Prince knows.
Yellow car. So it occurs in nature a lot. If I take this image right here, the first one, and if I were to swatch this, let me see if I can get this where everybody can see it. Give me a minute. Let's move that over. Okay, I'm paying close attention to where there's reflection. If you were to paint this, I am predicting that the light color that you get here is going to be less purple than this one. This is like an extreme example to show you how it just seems to always want to happen a lot more than paint. So I overcorrect by instinct with paint. So if you were to try to paint this, you would need to be adding some purple into this reflection, even though we don't even have a blue sky. We don't even have purple in the car. Like, where does the purple come from? I don't know, but it's just so much more purple than paint would be. And so maybe you're looking at this and just seeing gray, but I'm comparing it to paint. Okay, so this car is a good example of when light mixes, we get more purple. When colors of light mix, we tend to get more purple than paint will naturally provide. So let's just use that real quick to put a yellow thing in our picture. Okay, we're going to go like this. We're going to go, here is a yellow edge. And go like this. And we're going to make this yellow have a highlight. This is kind of greenish. You can see that. You know, let's add some orange to our yellow to make it less greeny. There we go. That's a little more of a middle of the road yellow.
You know, maybe the purple thing is like, you know, because here in Southern California where I'm at, it's something that I love about this place is like every morning and every afternoon, there's just this lovely lavender kind of light everywhere, you know?
Yeah.
And it's just this soft, pretty, and it makes skin tones look amazing, which is kind of why the film industry started out here, or bloomed here, I should say.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It's so, you got a lot of humidity in the sky. You got this sort of sea atmosphere diffusion, which softens the light, and then it's all kind of purpley. And I think it's kind of because we got blue sky. All right? And then we got like a yellowish, what's like a white sun, but you know, like it can become very warm, cut very quickly, yellow and orange. So,
right,
you know, you mix that yellow sun, that orange light with that blue sky, and that tends to create just a sort of purpliness, you know, a purpley atmosphere. Maybe that's what's going on.
Yeah.
It just makes purple feel natural, you know?
Yeah. And it is natural. I'm not pretending to know why I know why orange light and blue light make purple. That's common, and you'll see it in cast shadows. You see it in landscapes. It's all over. You see a shadow on the sidewalk. You know, it can be a little purple because usually some object that has an earthy tone is in the orange category. And then the blue light comes from the sky. Blue on orange makes a gray shade of purple because red and blue are the largest quantities of color. Those are the largest colors, you know, so, or the most abundant color in the mix. So naturally it creates a gray purple. So here I've purposely omitted the purple. I just added white to get a pale reflection area on the surface. And I just added, I shifted more toward orange. But when I add the purple, it has this depth creation because it's, I'm not going to pretend to know why. There's a magic to purple. It has magic to it. It creates a sense of reflection and depth. So if I put purple on this, it's going to start looking like a little more, reflective kind of rounded shape. You know, that purple just kind of pulls that into a atmosphere, or maybe it's just attractive. I might be saying that wrong. I'll put it on the edge right here. I'm going to make this a more purple gray on the edge, even without blending it. Look how it wraps that edge. You know, then I'm going to make this glare color just at the brightest point. I'm going to put that purplish hue in it, and then lighten it, of course. Okay, we're going to lighten this, and then we're going to get like a reflective look. See, just I wouldn't describe this color as purple. It just has the purple added. So it's easy to overdo it. You know, I've gotten real excited about this effect and then like totally overdid it in a picture. So I think like learning it is cool, and then testing the limits is really fun, but just be aware that it totally can be overdone. Very easy to overdo the purple shadow effect.
Yeah.
It's just so awesome. It's hard not to overdo it. Okay, so now I'm
Yeah.
going to put this orange in between my two purpleized values.
Purpleized.
You need to purpleize that picture. But, you know, it just has this beautiful look to it. I just love it. All right. Now we've got an interesting combination. They're communicating. I think there's communication happening.
All right. So let's say these need to exist in the same world. Then how can we relate them to each other?
Oh, that's easy. That's a piece of cake. We need to make another tentacle.
Let's put our golden sphere in the same world as our purpley fingery intestinal lining thing. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And it has found.
Communication has been established.
In the world of purple fingery things, they seek out the golden orb. The golden orb is the meaning of life for the purple fingery thing.
Yeah.
You know,
it's fueling up is what it's doing.
Like the pursuit of the golden orb. It consumes most of purple fingery things' waking moments.
Totally. That's it. So that's a good story.
When it finds it, you know, it's like a mosquito to a human. It's like, oh, this is what I do. This is
it. This is it. Okay, now where blue meets yellow, to make this gradient really count, I'm going to carefully apply purple as needed to not get green. So you need a lot of purple going from blue to yellow. If this was a sky going to sunset clouds, I would need to really, you could use magenta too if you want like a warmer, redder outcome, you know, but the important thing is that we're getting rid of, see that little bit of greenish showing up? So purple or magenta are the antidote for that effect.
Okay.
So we go like this.
So Mavis has a challenge for you now, Joe. You've created something from nothing. You've got yourself a purple fingery thing that has depth and dimension. That's cool. You got yourself a golden orb next to it. That is now related to purple fingery thing. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, but that's that's an abstract thing and an abstract thing, and they're both here having an abstract party. So not necessarily very challenging. Mavis wants to know: can you make the pine exist in this world as well?
Oh yeah, we can do that. That's no problem. No problem.
Do coniferous plants grow in purple fingery thing world?
You can put anything together. All we got to do is just bring them right together. Let's put them together. So all right.
Today's lesson: how to relate objects.
Yeah.
Using your toolkit.
Well, who was it that brought up the question about color temperature? So I'm gonna go back to that subject, and I'm gonna think about the color, just the color hue, the overall hue of it. happens to be on the warm side with the oranges. And so it's going to be important that I relate what color of light seems to be happening here to the light and shadow that is in this pine. So this pine is going to be in that world if I make atmosphere and lighting appear on the pine tree. It instantly sucks it into, it really is like a vacuum that pulls the thing into that world. That's how it feels to me anyway. So here's my red. I'm just duplicating these colors. We're going to put some black to make that gradient that goes around the root. Goes around the root of this thing.
Root.
Yeah, we have trouble with what to call things when we paint this abstractly. Okay, so we got this red atmosphere here. So this pine tree is going to be looking a little bit, let's call it photoshopped.
Yeah,
it's going to have that kind of appearance for a while until I start calibrating the light and shadow to look like it shares a common source as the rest. So I'm just putting a background in so that we establish.
We're empowering people today, Joe. We are empowering people because, let's say you're tired of just, God forbid, you're tired of the Bob Ross look, right? You've seen the landscapes, you've seen the rivers, you've seen the pines.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yeah.
What if you just want to do something crazy? What if you want to get out of this world? What if you want to reach into the weird recesses of your traumatized, sensitive artist brain and rip out something weird? How do you make that work and not just be irrelevant nonsense?
Yeah.
This is how we're figuring out how to make it still work.
Yeah, that's it. It's how to pull it together and create. If you can make it all one coexisting 3D environment, then imagination enjoys it a whole lot more. It's not as much of a random thing, Okay.
Yeah.
So,
for example, if I take a sentence, right, and I'm going to tell you that the sun is shining in Southern California today, right?
Okay.
If I put it in that order, and if I use that inflection, the sun is shining in Southern California today. You all know what I'm saying, and knowing what I'm saying feels great for me, feels great for you to understand.
Yeah.
Now, if all those objects that just came out of my mouth are not related in that way, I don't get my colors right. I don't get my shapes right. I don't get my depth right. And I say, Sun, California, today.
Yeah.
Wind, right?
Now you're talking. What? Yeah, that's like a direct translation from another language.
I don't understand, and I want to spit this out and go somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
It instantly becomes repulsive if your stuff doesn't make
You're talking about kind of at like a fundamental level, not like
a fundamental level. Truly. If you present abstraction, it doesn't necessarily make sense right away unless you tie it together. The colors work, the shapes work. Like you were saying, things can feel clip arty, they can feel photoshopped, which maybe is the aesthetic you're after. But when things tend to make sense together, then you tend to get a more listening audience. That's
right. Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Even if it's a fingery thing with a coniferous branch growing out of nowhere and a golden orb,
totally,
they still are. They're making sense here in this world, in a way,
That's it. So first thing I did was color my shadows. Colored my shadows to be just something that's in here. There's not a right choice for that. It's just something that's in there because this is an abstract world. It's instantly related because it's on the purple red. I guess it looks very black at the moment, but it makes it relate because it's on that purple red side of the spectrum, like the rest of the picture. So I put that in there. Here, let's even put some more. Let's boost up that purple that's in here. Let's do this. Okay, and I'm still trying to make what appears green. All I need is for this to be more green than the surrounding objects. And then it becomes a green object in my world. It doesn't have to be any universal true green. You know what I mean?
Know what I mean about the green?
You know what I mean? Okay, we got purple in the shadow, plenty of purple. Okay, now we're going to go to our green highlight that has orange added to it. That's this color here. Very unattractive as it stands alone. But let's see what happens when we use that color to redo these needles. Short ones across the face. We're using that same kind of gradient, like this, you know. And
hey Joe, what do you think about like a 1 hour paint along with me kind of a live stream here? We got some interested.
Hey, we should do that. That's a good idea. I like that.
People getting their paints together and then just doing a little 1 hour sesh with
That'd be good. You know, I've done a lot of paint alongs locally here in good old Flagstaff, Arizona, for various groups, private parties. It's a fun thing to do. A good plan is what makes it a good experience. You know, it's not fun to follow me. I know this from the earliest ones I did, is that I'm stringing people along if I don't have a good plan, because they're not sharing that vision of the final product. And it's like, I feel like I'm doing it wrong. It's not coming. So there needs to be a plan. A paint along, here's what we're going to paint together, instead of just randomly follow the ideas I can come up with. So this would be a really bad paint along for a lot of people. We won't say for everybody. Some people like that. So let me put a plan together. Let's see if we can talk about that and make it happen.
Okay. James Avila says, tut, 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 Joe. I don't know what that means, but that's what James just said.
Yeah, explain that expression. We need to learn.
I feel like there's something being said there that is going in one ear and out the other, which...
Yeah, it sounds like an expression that I'm not familiar with. So.
Which is likely.
Yeah. All right, so here is my adjusted lighting, but not so adjusted. It's not completely overhauling the green hue. It's just taking away that super saturated green, because that feels out of context, because it doesn't share the light and shadow colors. So here we're just reddening the green up. You know, we're just going to make it more reddish so that we can say, okay, that's kind of emerging out of that red purple atmosphere, if that is indeed the color of the atmosphere. Let's put a few. See, these dots can look like the ends of long pine needles if I just have that context set up. Okay, we're going to put some needles. I'll just put some little suggestions of texture in here. I'm just putting some somewhat randomized.
Swamp Art says, this is all so liberating.
Yeah, man, just have fun with some shapes and colors.
You know?
I love that.
Hey, so what happened on Joe's live stream today? What did he paint?
Yeah. You got to see it, right? You kind of got to see it.
We learned.
Yeah, we had some fun. We did do that. Had some fun. All right, so I adjusted the shadow, the light, you know, atmosphere if applicable. If it was a real big far away thing, you know, just adjusted it. Yep. Let's put some real bright highlights. Let's really amp up the ends of those needles. So now we're doing a color like this. We're taking the same color. It's going to be really yellow.
Tyler totally nailed it. I've been thinking this the whole time too, man. It looks like an intestine. It looks like an unwound intestine that's like now like seared off at the end, and now like fingery intestinal bits are grown out, trying to like reestablish the intestine.
That's very unattractive.
Tyler says, my wife walked by and saw this on the TV, said it looks like something inside somebody's gut.
Yeah. Well, Maybe
Hey, at least they're eating their fiber, right? They've got some pine in there. They've got some golden marble, apparently.
It's funny because the all the illustrations of those things tend to be like color coded so that we can understand the parts. Like the real thing would definitely not be those dramatic colors. So that's a funny association. It's totally based on the health books that we look at frequently.
Yeah.
There we go. See, we got highlight colors. We got highlight colors that are. Let me brighten up the camera. So we got.
That's true. Are there any like bright blue or bright yellow bits in our bodies? I don't know.
I'm not thinking. But I'm not the expert on that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take the exposure up a little bit so we see this is now a very dark picture. There you go. So that's adjusting the light and shadow so that this thing becomes a piece of the picture. You know, I don't want to have an intestine as a picture. It's not a very satisfying finished product. You know, I feel disappointed about that. I'm not gonna lie, I feel disappointed. Who was it that said it? You know, I wasn't trying to make an intestine, but I truly have done that. You know, you can't argue with.
Well, you know, per our previous conclusion, once you see it, you can't
unsee it. You know, it doesn't pay off emotionally as an artist to argue with the public's perception of your work. You don't win. It's a losing battle.
Yeah. That's not what you see. You don't see an intestine.
I know. And you're like, you're looking at it wrong. You're looking at my work wrong, you know, and that is I would just say like destructive, you know, thought. You can't, it's like not a battle you can win. So you always,
it's an ego trap, you know.
It's that ego trap again. And so you always there's this annoying obligation to obey. Eventually you're like, well, it is what it is. You just have to admit it, you know. There's no changing that. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to add a little bit of extra context and see if we can morph this out of intestine land. I'm going to see if it's possible. But I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of confidence that I can do it.
So, you know, a couple ideas off the top of my head, you know, like maybe that's a platform from which low pine trees grow. They're on the end of it.
We could change the scale. Scale could be it. Yeah,
it's a thing. It's a thing from which things grow. You know, not things get pooped.
Or we could just run with
push in the other direction. This is life growing, not decomposing.
Oh man, that's good. Yeah. What have I done? Wait, hold on. I'm getting obsessed with the quality of a gradient.
This is an interesting the headspace of the artist moment here. Mavis is curious. Joe, were you dissatisfied once you associated it to an intestine?
On a very humorous, mild level, yes.
Yeah, but it was the notion of intestine stuff that turned him off.
Yeah, I don't love it. You know, I don't love it. So here's what we're going to really expand the presence of whatever is coming off the end. I'm going to try to get like a sense of motion.
Yeah, Tom says you could put some texture on it to make it look like a worm or a caterpillar. Corinia. I'm gonna say it however.
I was trying on that one too. I didn't.
Yeah. Okay. Never mind. Personally, I'm saying something that could be encountered in
I think Corinia. I'm gonna go with Corinia.
All right, Corinia it is. Sorry, Corinia. We're calling you Corinia.
Our last name is Cornelius. It's not like super different.
Yeah, we're practiced with the CORN. We know how to use that.
Yeah, we are indeed. We're gonna go a
trimmer. Yeah, maybe it's one of those trimmers from that movie. It kind of looks like that. Oh my goodness, that movie scared the bejesus out of me.
Really?
Tremors? Oh my goodness.
Yeah. It was a good suspense. I thought like more suspenseful kind of scare, not like is something going to get me in the dark kind of scare.
Dude, I walk around the surface of the earth just like looking around at the soil for
Really?
like, you know.
It really got to you.
Well, I'm impressionable, Joe. I'm very impressionable.
Wow.
Stuff gets on there and it leaves a mark, you know.
Yeah.
I'm a porous being.
We were pretty little when that movie came
That's
out,
true.
you know. It's
And
like
I was a kid.
Yeah. It was good though. I enjoy that genre of movie. Monster movies. I like monsters.
Monster movies.
Yeah, they're fun. Okay, I'm trying to make this whole thing feel a bit more liquid. That's my goal here.
It does look liquid here.
Yeah, that's the feel I'm going for. We're gonna try to make the beads. There is pattern to liquid that you can kind of use when you want to get that effect.
Yeah, it's got a certain levity, weightlessness now.
Okay, yeah. I want it to look more like, less like intestine. That's the goal.
Yeah,
that's the goal.
maybe just like a brownish kind of lump of something right at the tip there would help, Joe. Just maybe emerging.
Yeah, something coming out.
Maybe that would help.
Yeah, maybe. Okay.
The tut 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 is the sound of your brush hitting the canvas, James.
Oh, that's it. It is indeed. It is that sound. I'm going to put some dark background coming through this one. I lost my background. There we go.
That's the background sound effect.
Yeah, you got to make the sounds. Okay, we got liquid. We got some liquid going. Let's make some more. And now I've got some context set for that. So now I'm just going to kind of like make another bit of it going right across there. Put some reflection here. Let's get some purple edge reflection on that. Is it still in intestine land? Is it still? What do you think?
Let's take a poll. We got enough people in here. Put in the chat. What are you seeing, guys? What are you seeing here?
Yeah, you don't have to be nice. You know, we're not here to be nice.
Don't be nice. Just liberate your imagination.
Liberate.
Now is your chance. Dive into this world. What are you encountering?
Yeah. What is it? What
alien species? We got an alien species.
Yeah, it is pretty alien. You know, like that's a pretty safe category whenever you see really unfamiliar shapes and colors. Actually, I think what makes this worth looking at all is that it's not unfamiliar colors. It's believable colors with super unfamiliar organization, you know?
Yep.
That's it.
Yep. Val still sees guts.
Shoot.
Raymond says looks like some kind of slug from outer space.
Yeah, space slug.
Outer space slug.
Yeah.
I like that. Space slug.
Yeah.
Check out my space slug. Dude, that's something I want to say. Hey, man, I want to see my... Never mind. Never mind.
Any sentence that starts with "want to see."
It came out weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, moving right along.
That's good.
A nerve. Leanne sees a nerve.
Oh, it does look kind of like a nerve. You know, I think where things got off course was when I decided to just launch that thing into the background. I think that's where it really got weird.
Ooh, jellyfish underwater. It's kind of a jellyfish.
Yeah, it is very jelly.
G votes for jellyfish. G is for jelly. Psych. No, it's not. That's J. Swamp Art says maybe some glints. Maybe make it look wet or slimy. That'll be less intestine-y for sure.
Everybody just wants to run with that idea now.
Dude,
now we're actually trying to make
Here's a fun phrase from Debbie, a terrestrial organ.
Yeah, we're stuck in Oregon land.
It's space
Yeah.
intestine, Joe. It's space intestine.
This one's probably not going to hit the Etsy market.
No, you know, I mean, there's a space intestine for everybody. You know.
Yeah, not too many people are wanting to decorate their space with it.
Yeah.
You know, like that's not super popular.
Yeah, you know, Mavis says the pine cones are still looking like foreigners, but
well, that was the best I could do.
It, you know, we could have the like, what if like pines? I think if we had pines growing on the space intestines, that would probably bridge the gap.
Yeah, I think you're right. There's like no reason. There's no intuitive reason for those pine.
Yeah, what about this world says, hey, you might see a pine tree.
How about a pine tree? Everybody likes pine trees.
So we do a happy little tree, guys. Let's do a happy little tree. Clover says tubular marine fungus, man.
Totally marine fungus. Let's put some blue light going out of it. All you have to do is
Tyler could see an eyeball popping up on there pretty quick. That would be cool.
Oh, an eyeball. We can do an eyeball. It's not a terrible idea. We're going to make a little bit of a glow coming out of it. There. You know, to make anything glow, all you got to do is increase color saturation as you go brighter. As it gets brighter, you got to increase color saturation. You get a glow. It really is a helpful trick to be in touch with, you know, or pattern to be in touch. I want this to look like light, not just like color on the outside of the object. So a gradient into a less saturated color. So I'll throw in some orange now on this purple, and it's going to kind of kill the intensity of the shadow. But the purple, go ahead.
Hey, finish thought on purple. It's more relevant than what I have to say.
You're going to say something about space intestine. The purple keeps it from going green. You know, it's like allowing this to transition into a shadow color.
Tom says there's some critters at the bottom of the Marianas Trench that look similar to that. It's like a deep spot in the ocean.
You want to be fun. This never comes out as good.
What's funny is here we all are with our two eyeballs that are positioned on the front of our skulls with our forelimbs, right? Our skin suits that hold in these watery, fleshy bodies. And we're all looking around at each other like, hey, that looks perfectly normal. That looks like Earth. That looks like a human. I feel comfortable with all these other beings around here, okay? But that's just because you also have eyeballs and forearms and a flesh suit.
Yeah.
If you can, look around at everybody in the world and imagine that you're not a human, right? Maybe you're this intestinal floaty thing.
Yeah.
And you've come here, and now you're looking around at all these shapes, all these creatures.
Yeah.
Right?
You're like, this is different.
I'll tell you, for like a solid 30 seconds, I can sometimes look around at people and just be like, what a bunch of weird, fleshy aliens we got here.
Yeah.
You know, like, why are they the aliens and we're the locals? You know, we're the aliens. We're the aliens, guys.
You want to be careful about with the context you launch into that mental space, because, you know, I've gone into that philosophical space before with talking to my wife, you know, and she's not trying to hear that she looks like that.
Sure. You got to choose your moment. It's not like, hey, how do I look in this dress? Should I wear this? Hey, baby, you ever thought about how like we're all just like fleshy water bags?
Funny thing.
Whenever I look at you, I just see a fleshy water bag, man. What's that all about?
Yeah, that's the way it translates.
Anyway, it's the same thing as Joe, you and I and some others were talking earlier this week about just the relativity of direction. you know, up, down, left, right, but we're kind of like just in space. So like, what is up, down, left, right? You know?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. What is it?
Along those lines
Indeed.
of like ways to remind yourself of we're just a thing going on here. Don't let it normalize, because then you kind of lose some of the magic, you know?
Yeah.
You can lay down. I love doing this. Lay down on the earth, guys. Wherever you are,
Lay
just lay
down.
down. Just
There
lay
you go.
down underneath the
In
sky and look up at the sky, all right? And for a moment you're laying there and you're looking up at the sky. But then if you stop and realize you're stuck to a sphere, this sphere could be pointing any old direction, and you're not looking up, you're just looking out from the sphere.
It's just out. Yeah, that's cool.
And perhaps you're
That's a
on
cool
like
thought.
the quote unquote bottom side of this sphere, right? And so maybe you're like, now you're like a fridge magnet that's stuck to this thing. And if it weren't for gravity, you'd just fly straight out.
Yeah.
You know, but here you are stuck like a magnet to the surface of this thing. And it doesn't matter
Yeah.
if it spins this way or that way or goes up or down. And then you become keenly aware of gravity and just how you're an object in space that's stuck to other objects in space. These things will tickle your brain and make you want to paint
Will it?
extraterrestrial intestinal tubes on a canvas like no tomorrow, man.
Is that
I'm
what it's
telling
gonna
you,
do? Yeah. Okay.
that is the reality of what we're all experiencing, you know? And
Oh
perhaps
no.
we get so used to sunsets and other people and purple as a shadow color that we just forget that
Yeah.
there's really some wild stuff going on out here, you know?
Yeah, you can forget, but I don't know. I think in a moment of inspiration, that's one take on it, you know? That's one take
Yeah,
on it.
at
It's
its
like the
best, that's what
abstract,
it
it's,
is.
yeah, the abstraction of it all, you know? Things can get real
Well,
abstract. This is uncomfortable. I just want to say this picture became uncomfortable the moment I put this eyeball right here. There.
Why?
Because it's an eyeball. I don't know. That's a great question. Why indeed? Why indeed? But I don't like random eyeballs. They affect me, you know?
Yeah. Well, the eyeball has implications.
Yeah.
Eyeballs are for looking.
It definitely has a sense of searching. A sense of searching, you know? It's maybe turning around different ways.
Yeah. Well,
you know what this whole picture
what it does is it takes the watched object and now it makes it the watching object, and you are being watched.
There's no saving this. I just need to say this is a do-over. This is in the category of a do-over. But it's fun. Definitely a fun picture. No saving it to make it attractive to the average viewer.
Hey, you know, Hamin in Vietnam Joe says, you know, the green in that eyeball really ties the pines in.
Mavis, there's your answer. That is how I'm going to do it. That's how you do it. Here's one last trick, you know. Here's one last trick you can do to tie things together, like really make things look good together. I already kind of took the purple from this, but we could exaggerate it. I'll take the color from each of these two things and put it on the other. So here's purple that I'll put on this edge. I'll just do it real messy like, and that's going to make this share. It's basically just casting some of the light from this onto this object. If I wanted to do a great job, I'd try to do like a smooth gradient on there. So we do that, and then it relates. So anything purple in this environment is captured on the object itself, and it's like pulls it in. So now I'll take some of the yellow right here. It's a good trick when you're doing a landscape and you need things to look like they're together. You know, it maybe ties into what Mavis was touching on, you know, like bringing stuff together. Okay, I'm going to take this yellow and I'm going to put this anywhere we have an edge that looks like it could be facing toward this yellow thing. I'm just going to put yellow in there, put yellow right there. Let's make it a little more of a orange yellow where it's coming off this magenta right there. And maybe this little nub here has a outline. Put this. So this is a, just a fun little trick when you're detailing out something to look for in your work, for it to have a cohesive feel, is edges where they meet up with each other. Look at those edges there.
Man, Jet Set J is like, where have we awoken, Joe? Where have we? We woke up, and this is the first thing that popped out.
Yeah, right. Man, I wonder if I had some wild dreams.
I like it. I like it.
We had some fun.
It is in fact liberating. Yeah, Tur Klinky says we are walking worms for normal creatures. Totally, man. You get it. You get it.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what's fun? This is why I digress, right? Like, he's talking about we're just wormy flesh bags, yada yada, irrelevant, waste of time. Like, why do these? Okay. Why do these? The reason that you want to engage in these sort of thought experiments, in my opinion, is that it flexes a muscle. It flexes a muscle.
Yeah. I got you. Yeah.
You don't go to the gym because you like to lift weights. You go to the gym so you can get your muscles stronger.
Yeah, I hear you.
And just taking your brain and not accepting it as it is by default occurring to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Questioning it, being curious about it.
Yeah.
And shifting your perspective on it aggressively to the most extreme version possible, right? Like, hey man, we're just a fridge magnet stuck to the surface of this sphere that's floating, and relativity, blah blah.
I think you're getting into the mind of the philosopher when you're talking.
Yeah, you're not doing that stuff because you're trying to arrive at any conclusion that's useful. You're doing that stuff because the reps of flexing that muscle and perspective shifting will serve you well in life in so many ways. To be able to take a scenario or a circumstance and shift your perspective on it intentionally, aggressively, in spite of the overwhelming circumstances surrounding you, is a life skill, And so I find it valuable to be able to do that, to be in the midst of how life is presenting itself to you, but then to say, well, what else is it? How else can I see this? What else is real and true about this that I'm
really there's like a very basic spin on what you're saying is just really appreciating other point of views, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just that ability to say, if I was of a different point of view, how would all of this look?
Yeah right. Okay. And so we as artists are always we're having fun,
That's
we're having
what
fun.
That's what we do.
But for me, it's only fun because I have an orderly world to return to.
Yeah.
If I didn't have an orderly world to return to, I don't think I would have so much fun exploring the madness.
Yeah, right. Well, that's you're touching on motivators, right? Like, is your motivation to try and escape this reality, in which case you will be sadly disappointed.
Yeah. Well, it is a temporary escape. I like the temporary escape. It's cool.
Well, just the ability to see a thing from a different way is so valuable.
Yeah. Agreed.
And Tur Klinka, Tur Klinka.
Yeah.
Man, that's a fun Tur. Tuer Klinke. Klinke. Tur Klinke.
This was a lot about depth.
They love the painting. They love the painting, Joe.
Hey, thank you very much. We just had fun doing, you know, we're isolating depth really, whereas everything else is nonsense, but we're just putting coherency to the nonsense by implementing depth. So if nothing, depth, I just said depth.
Raymond likes it too.
Hey, thanks.
Likes it. Yeah. We got
All
lots
right.
of work, Joe.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. You know what? You inspired me to put some little accents on it. Here, let's do just what, who was suggesting the little twinklies on there?
Little wet things.
Yeah, let's make this look a little bit more wet.
Let's make it look wet.
Add some glossiness to it.
German, nice. Doorknob, you know? Interesting. It means Turklinke. Turklinke means doorknob, I guess.
Oh,
interesting
okay.
Choice of screen names, you know?
Yeah.
Interesting choice of screen names. Doorknob.
I'll leave that one. Okay.
Yeah.
So depth. There's really specific elements that cause it to be perceived. And so you can see that I have gradients, I have perspective applied to shapes. So I've got shape perspective, which causes this scrunching. So that's something like, do I have shape perspective applied? So that's a category to me all on its own. Then color perspective actually is a thing as well, because we have the colors changing as something wraps because the angle is changing. And when angle changes, the light that it's receiving is changing. So we inevitably have gradients that directly associate with those. So see this exponential change of color on this, to really analyze it, is got this like squished rate of squishing as we get to the edge that matches the rate of squishing of my shape. So I've got shape perspective, I've got color perspective, if you can call it that. I don't know what to call it, but we could call it value, color, everything associated with like whatever you're filling a space with. It's the values and the colors that have gradients caused by perspective. Atmosphere is a whole category of its own. This atmosphere is what I would call a third category, where everything I want to be farther away, I also include atmosphere color to the extent that I want it to go back into my picture. And then the last category is scaling brush texture. So like I have big strokes on my close things, I put tiny strokes on the far things. And you could lump that into like shape perspective, but I like to think about it as a separate category because I find it helpful. So, you know, I do just even if it's just nonsense brush strokes, tiny strokes with big ones where I want it close, that all by itself creates a sense of depth. And those are what I currently view as my four categories to maximize depth, if you wanted to really maximize it.
Maximize it. And how much depth is enough depth? I mean, is asking.
You never get enough. It's like a good drug. You don't hit that point where you're like, that's enough. I'm going to start coming down now.
How much magic is too much magic, you know?
Yeah. You never get enough. And, you know, I'm always on the hunt for ways to get more depth in my, even with all those things. I feel like I've really found all the categories, but I have a relentless philosophy that I never have found it all. Like I'm always looking for that next thing, you know?
Yeah. That next tut, as they're saying in the chat.
Yeah.
Looking for the tut.
Hey, this was a fun one, huh? This was a fun one. Ben, thanks for managing, reading the chat, keeping me in touch. Yep. We went from 7 to 9 on this one. 2 hours. That's a solid
Base
2 hours.
Sea Slug. Oh, there's my big old skull again. Love it.
Yeah. I just showed it for a minute.
As possible.
Just for a minute. Yeah.
It's so
It was kind of a different default on the Google Meet chat. We got a big screen. Yeah. All right. Good to see y'all. I sent out a newsletter. A lot of you probably got it. The workshop is full, man. I'm going to be sending out a little bit more information. I know I've said that before, but I really am sending out a little more information as we've got a full house coming to my studio for an in-person workshop on clouds and water. Just keep sending me emails if you were not able to make this one, but want to do one in the future. Helps me get a gauge on, like if another one needs to be planned in the near future. And I'm going to keep in mind that paint along. That's the second time that's been mentioned. Ben, we've had that mentioned 2 times if I remember right. Now.
Yeah. Maybe we just get a little canvas or something and do a little paint along, or maybe a big canvas to just show it's liberating.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
But a doorknob asks, "Hey, are you going to finish the painting?"
No, I'm not going to finish that painting. I'm going to throw it in the trash. I'm going to paint right over it.
He's going to put that thing where it wants to go.
Absolutely not.
I'm going to forget this ever happened. He's going to turn this off, delete the video, and forget this ever happened, guys. That's what he's going to do.
This is the truth. This is the truth about things that, I'm fully convinced of it, that doing everything really well except for one thing makes extra ugliness. So you take a picture, you do all these things well to make depth. Well, all I've done is make a gross thing more believable because I've done all these tricks to make it. The depth is so, I can just picture someone with wine and cheese and looking at art and talking about the nice depth and everything it has. But it's like, yeah, but it's an intestine with an eyeball.
Yeah.
So I've just done this masterful decoration of a turd. So
I mean, if Picasso painted an intestine with an eyeball, would it be beautiful? If Leonardo da Vinci painted an intestine with an eyeball, would it be beautiful? Could anybody salvage an intestine with an eyeball?
I personally am after beauty. I want something that feels beautiful to me. So this one doesn't make the cut. But
I do presuppose
people
that
like
goal
different
is beauty. I do presuppose that. Yeah.
That's mine. Not everyone likes different things. You can say it's in the eye of the beholder. Fair enough. This one's not beautiful for me. So
I joke, biology can be beautiful. Biology can be beautiful.
Yeah. There's beautiful things about it. Definitely beautiful things about it.
Well, have we got anything else in the inbox, or do we need to say sayonara to the globe?
Yeah, it's time to leave, but we should check. Right. We were looking at that inbox. We forgot. I totally was looking at the beautiful picture. I love that. I would put a little bit of red on the edges of those shadows. I think that'd be cool.
Here, why don't you go ahead and switch up this camera angle for us?
Switch up the camera angle. Oh no, I got it. So is it not showing up on your end? I think I just have.
There we go. There we go.
Delay. It's just on a delay.
Delay. We got. Delay.
Yeah. This is a great picture. So thank you, Clover. Was it Tom? Was it Tom that sent that one? No, it wasn't Tom. Let's go to flying lessons. Yeah. Thank you for sharing this one. So I want to just show that purple can look really good on this. Watch. If we go to the old color app, let's see if we can import this into the old color. I want to poke at this for a minute and show you something that I think would look nice. Okay, don't get mad at me. Don't get mad at me for this. I just want to show you something that I think can look cool on skin tone. All right. You can go like this, put that image in there, and we're going to get a red. Okay, I'm going to go to a red. Make it a little darker, a little bit grayer. Let's take this top bar over, make it a little bit more grayish. And, that looks like a pretty good color. And then I'm going to zoom in. Oh, man. I just lost the picture. Where'd it go? Didn't work. We're gonna have to fix that later. That was a failure to launch that one. Sorry. Should I redo it or let's just call it? You know, I'm not gonna do it because I gotta go. I'll fix that app and we'll work on it later.
Yeah,
but a little bit. Yeah, we'll do it another time. That was a really beautiful picture. I was gonna say right between light and shadow. So right between light and some shadow, like here. It's hard to find it on this. So on my pine tree's probably a better example. Some extra color saturation. So since there's blood and skin right between light and shadow, if you put a little bit of red just something that has more red, it can enhance the look of sunlight illuminating it. It can. It's not always exactly what the picture needs. It's not always appropriate. It's a good trick that I just wanted to test out. I was just going to test it on the picture and see if it looked good, you know. So not to be taken as a critique. Okay, everybody.
Is there one more email in there? Or did we get?
Was it? Yeah, I think there was actually. Here, let me look. We got one from Debbie. Check out this picture. Got a cool looking peacock piece right here. That's a lot of really nice detail. Good job on the very colorful shadows and the flowers.
Flowers are camera up for us.
Oh yeah, it switched. You're just on a delay there. Sorry, Ben.
I keep waiting. Yeah, the delay is tricking me.
Yeah, it's a latency on the video.
Hey, speaking of beautiful, somebody's not painting intestines today.
Yeah. Really nice work. Colorful shadows. I just want to point out the beauty of colorful shadows. Sometimes artists will just darken and lose color in the shadows, and then you don't have that light flowery look. Flowers look like flowers when you have lots of colored shadows because the light goes through the petals and gets filtered and colored. So well done on that. You know, it's a distinctly different look than perhaps like the more reflective texture of a feathery neck where you have higher contrast. Okay, I like this peacock.
Debbie,
thanks for sharing.
Debbie painted this one. Nice work, Debbie.
Very good. I like that. You're working on some cool stuff. I like the rocks. Nice work. I like that. That looks like the kind of rocks I'd throw in there. The color choices, the gradients. I like the way you did those. Very nice. Okay, keep me posted on the progress. I can see this as a work in progress. Okay, everybody. It's been fun.
Yep.
Time for us to go.
About that time.
Yep, we got to go. Enjoy the rest of our Saturday here. You all have a good weekend. All right.